New Book 1, From Then to Now, Part 48. We spent the night talking and giggling about what I had been through. She wrote everything down as I tried to describe what took place. I loved Sonia. She was beyond the angels. From all that I experienced, I had the great fortune to realize the magnificent love that all these great beings I know have for the unaware people of the earth. It is easy to see that the love and adventure children have is so similar to the reality of all the illuminated beings I met. I could plainly see what I would be sharing with this world would seem to be a fairy tale of an interesting nature, but once a person begins to explore and have real experience, then their life is changed forever. It may not be so that everyone will know and experience what I have, but all that is really needed is the contact with someone like Rebazar. For those who are reading this life has already gone by. The good news is, the real universal guides are always aware of the real risk-takers, those who want to know the real truth, and not just the pretty words that have been written down through time. It really does not matter if someone can prove what has happened in the past, or if they are able to dig up things that relate to the events that have gone by. All life is here and now, and all that will ever be is with each one of us now. Eventually, each one of us can be like Rebazar Tars and the real guides, true and pure, free beings of light. As time went by, Sonia and I taught for almost another year at the school, while I finished the first book. I eventually wrote 3 books with her help. They were published, and I was paid for them. Not a lot, but something. Sonia and I went on a tour and shared our experiences with different teaching paths and some public gatherings at that time for several ongoing years. The publishers made arrangements for the engagements for me at so many different places. There were a lot of people who were interested, and there were those who were very upset by what I was presenting, stating that what I had written was false, and that there were no places like I had described. Of course, there couldn't be the real universes for those with no experience. For most people, I talked about the experiences that the children in my class had, because I liked what they experienced. Sonia was always a great support and a pure heart. I was so lucky to know her. Shiss would make herself known on the inner from time to time, and constantly helping me with making certain decisions about what to do and where to go. I helped to set up small groups of interested people who were willing to be taught and learn about their real experiences. As Sonia and I travelled around, we would revisit some of the groups from time to time, but for the most part we would see the people in the other worlds. The groups themselves learned to share their insights and learn from the real guides and gain the real connection. I taught so many people who became connected to the sound and light of the ears. I was shown that most of them would be returning again, like me, and I would possibly know them once more. After touring different parts of the United States for many years, Sonia and I came back to Southern California and lived out the rest of our lives in the area that we loved, right next to the Pacific Ocean. We lived in the house that her parents had built, and then had it to ourselves when they went into the higher worlds. Then my parents came out and lived with us until they also left the earth. Their passing was a wonderful experience, like that of my grandfather's. The day came when it was time to say goodbye to this life as an Indian. Rebazar Tars was preparing Sonia and I to leave together. We had reached about all the people we could during our stay on Earth, and so it was time to go. Sonia's parents and my parents were already on the 7th level, and that is where we would be going also. It was now the morning of the day of our departure. We would be leaving during the night. This would be our last day on Earth during this lifetime, and so we let our horses go and the several cats we had. We told them they were free because we were leaving. Sonia and I walked along the beach and talked most of the day. All the inner travels that we love so much will now be our life, Goldie. But there is a part of me that is a little sad that we are leaving, said Sonia. I can understand, I said. It is the little part of us that wants to hold on to this place. We had given the house to some friends of ours who had children, and that had lived in a very small place they could barely afford. They were so happy to get the beautiful house that Sonia's parents built. Night time came fast, and we were getting ready to leave permanently. Our bodies would be taken care of by the people we gave the house to. They would come in the morning and do the proper thing. Sonia and I lay down on our bed together, and then left as swift as the wind. We found ourselves far above the beautiful inner ocean that we had always visited. As we were floating in the sky and looking back at where we'd been, Rebazar Tars came flying up and said, "Follow me to your real home." All of us flew straight up and through the heavens of man, and then beyond all the limitations of the mind, until we passed the dark border and into the 7th level. I once again entered the reality of life, with all the sound and light filling my very being. Shis was there to meet us as we came into this universe of pure silvery light, and a bliss that cannot be described. "Hello, Goldie and Sonia, welcome home forever," she said, with a great glowingness to herself. My earthly parents were there along with Sonia's. All of us went to Shiss's palace, while Rebazar Tars went to be with the other guides to plan the future of what was to come. All of us sat around her palace and communicated for the longest time. Then the others went to their places, and I stayed with Shiss. "Goldie, you will be here a while with me, until you return to Earth. Rebazar and the boys are lining up the person you are to come through. She is a good person, but needs a few attitude adjustments, so maybe she will listen to you. She is only 14 years old on Earth right now, and is not considering having a child as of yet. She will be a good choice for you, because you will be very motivated to succeed through what you have to go through by being raised by her. With the new body and mind you will be getting, you will have to work through the limitations you encounter. You will be introduced to the real outer guide at a young age. Rebazar Tars will begin to prepare you during your youth, and then around 1970 you will have the outer presentation to go by for several years, until it is your time. All in all, it looks to be a very interesting lifetime," she said. I really had no questions at this point. Because of where I was at, I was fine. For what would be termed Earth years, I lived and planned what would be taking place in the next life. Sis and I stayed together until the moment came for me to return to the earth. I took a last look around, and she gave me a hug and a kiss. "I will come to visit you when you have been prepared and gone through what is needed. There will be others you will teach who need your assistance, and so you must attend to them," she said. Rebazar Tars came at that very moment and motioned to me that it was time to go. We flew down through the dark border and through the lower heavens until we once again came to the physical realm. From where we were above the earth, I could sense the difference that had taken place. We flew down near the surface, and I could see all the development that was now covering the land. The earth had changed so much in the short time I was away. "Is this place safe to be in, Rebazar Tars?" I asked, as I looked over the land masses and all that was taking place. He laughed and said, "Not really, but it is a good training ground for the soul who wants to reach the real universes of sound and light. This life will be a real test for you, but I will be here, and so will many of your friends. The experience you will be gaining will aid so many people who are looking for the way out of this place. Sometimes it takes a knock on the head for some people to wake up to what is really taking place in life. You have been prepared for lifetimes, and there is still more for you to consider, but all of what you need will come as a gift to you." We had flown very low to the ground as we moved across the different parts of the United States. We finally came to the area. I was to enter into this new life form and become an Earth person once again. I was not really thrilled to do this, but what else could I do? I wanted to be the best I could be, so I was more than willing to go through the process again. Rebazar Tars pointed to the building that I was to go into and meet my new mum. I entered the building while the rain was coming down. I seemed to know just where to go, and I was finally there. I was hovering above the woman who was lying on the table and going through her childbirth with the doctor. He was standing in front of her and trying to pull the body out. All of a sudden, I saw the little body coming out, and I could feel myself being drawn to the situation. It was very dark, and I felt strange, and then I forgot everything.